Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the band on parade this morning is the Armed Forces Mass Band, comprising personnel drawn from the Ghana Army, Ghana Navy, and the Ghana Air Force. The band is under the command of the band officer, Sub-Lieutenant Teresa Anna Nyaku. The band master is Chief Petty Officer Class 1, Boachi Imanuota. The drum majors are Warrant Officer Class 2, Yebua Robert, Sergeant Bokete Ni Daniel, and Able Seaman Class 1, Boachi Isaac. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I am Squadron Leader Gabriela Lawson from the Department of Public Relations of the Ghana Armed Forces, your MC for today's program. And my co-MC is
Cassandra Chung Ampofo, the Head of Public Relations for Ghana Education 7. And we are extremely honored and humbled to be your MCs for today. We gather here this morning to celebrate our nation's 68th independence anniversary. And as we mark this milestone, we are reflecting on our journey as a nation, reviewing our progress and resetting our sights on a brighter future. Today's theme, Reflect, Review, and Reset, invites us to take a moment to look back on our achievements, acknowledge our challenges, and recommit to our collective aspirations as a nation. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the learners performing today are drawn from schools within the Accra Metro, Tema West, Ablekumas West, and La Dade Kotopon, all in the greater Accra region. The schools are Tema Senior High School, Ada Technical Institute, Bishop Girls, Services Primary JHS Burma Camp, Dansoman 2, 3, 6 Basic Schools, AME Zion Basic, GOM DA Basic Schools. Distinguished guests, the Ghana Education Service is the largest agency under the Ministry of Education, and the ministry is headed by the Honorable Minister Haruna Idrisu and Mr. Clement Apak as his deputy. The vision of the Ghana Education Service is to create an enabling environment in all educational institutions and directorates that will facilitate effective teaching and learning. The mission is to ensure that all Ghanaian children of school-going age are provided quality education through effective resource management. Professor Ernest Kofi Davis is the Acting Director General, with Dr. Manawaru Isahak as the Deputy Director General in charge of quality and access. And they are supported by divisional directors, unit directors, the 16 regional directors, and district, municipal, and metropolitan directors.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, all is now set for the arrival of dignitaries.
Distinguished guests, while we await the arrival of our dignitaries, permit me to inform you about the key policies being implemented by the Ghana Education Service. In fulfillment of the reset agenda, the GES is implementing the essential values for the Ghanaian Youth Handbook. This is a youth developed material which is being implemented by the youth in the pre-tertiary space of education. And the handbook comes at a critical time, offering an effective way to address issues like indiscipline in our schools, will indeed help learners understand and embrace values that are vital for their personal growth and nation building. In addition to this, the Ghana Education Service is also strengthening its safe school policy, which aims to create a secure and an enabling environment for students to learn and thrive. The program seeks to eradicate all forms of violence against children in schools, including bullying, sexual abuse, and other forms of mistreatment. Some of the initiatives being done are sports festivals and activities to promote social cohesion and teamwork. We also have training and capacity building for teachers and school administrators to address violence and promote safety. The development of school health education programs is also geared towards the promoting of physical, social, and mental well-being of all our learners within the pre-tertiary space. And so overall, the Ghana Education Service Safe School Program is a comprehensive initiative that seeks to create a safe, supportive, and inclusive learning environment for all students in Ghana. And therefore, we want to use this opportunity to assure all our stakeholders that indeed our schools are safe and the learners are safe, and effective teaching and learning is also going on smoothly. May I hand over to Squadron Leader Lawson, my co-MC. Thank you.
Your Excellencies, distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, this morning we are witnessing the 68th Independence Anniversary Parade under the theme Reflect, Review and Reset. Distinguished guests, while we await the arrival of the Vice President and President of the Republic, kindly permit me to run you through the composition of the parade. This morning we have 3 contingents drawn from the Ghana Armed Forces. The first contingent, which is an army contingent, is commanded by Captain Danso Eduse Poku and Captain Jonas Janipo. The supernumerary non-commissioned officer is Warrant Officer Class 2 Ofori Hana. The second contingent, which is the Navy contingent, is commanded by Lieutenant Ghana Navy John Selom Kwete and Lieutenant Ghana Navy Najmuddin Mumuni. And the supernumerary non-commissioned officer are Petty Officer Class 2 Kotoka Staniel and Petty Officer Class 2 Idrisu Yakubu. The last contingent, which is the Air Force contingent, is commanded by Flight Lieutenant Obel Parkwesi Grant and Flying Officer David Afokanga. And the supernumerary non-commissioned officer is Warrant Officer Class 2 Opoku Wilberforce. The band on parade this morning is the Armed Forces Mass Band, comprising personnel drawn from the Ghana Army, Ghana Navy, and the Ghana Air Force. The band is under the command of the band officer, Sub-Lieutenant Teresa Ananyaku. The band master is Chief Petty Officer Class 1, Boachi Emmanuel Ta. The drum majors are Warrant Officer Class 2, Yeboah Robert, Sergeant Bokete Ni Daniel, and Able Seaman Class 1, Boache Isaac. Distinguished guests, arriving on the square this morning is the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana.
Right! Two! Day!
Your Excellencies, distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, arriving now is the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, Her Excellency, Professor Jane Nana Opoku Agyeman. Shall we please rise to welcome her and remain standing for the national salute? All personnel in uniform are to salute.
Right! National salute! Present! Right! Go! Day!
You're most welcome, ma'am. Please be seated.
Huh? Yay! Arms! Turn! Turn! Ice!
Your Excellencies, distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, while we await the arrival of the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Ghana Armed Forces, permit me to run you through today's program. After the arrival of the President, we shall have the national salute, the national pledge, followed by traditional prayer, Muslim prayer, Christian prayer, then inspection of the parade, and lighting of perpetual flame, after which the band will display. After the band displays, we'll have performances by learners from various schools in the Greater Accra region, after which the parade will advance in review order, followed by the drum appellation, after which the President will deliver his 68th Independence Anniversary Address. That will be the format for today's program. Thank you. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the arrival of the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Ghana Armed Forces, kindly permit me to give a brief background of our colors this morning. An important feature of every military parade is the custom of carrying colors or flags. In the past, each regiment or unit carried a flag into battle as a rallying point for its troops. Unlike the colors today, which bear the badges of achievement of a regiment and its crest, early flags were basically banners of just a single color. Colors are so important that during battles in the past, officers and men would rather tear their colors and distribute it among themselves, rather than have it fall into the hands of the enemy. The colors never turned back, not even on parade. This is because true soldiers never turn their back to the enemy. Paying compliments to the colors is therefore a tribute to the sovereign authority of the nation, or a military unit's past accomplishments and those who died for those accomplishments. Colors are awarded to a unit by the head of state at a formal and a solemn ceremony. on parade this morning are the National Army, Navy, and Air Force colors. Carrying the national color is Captain Henry Ochre Pempe. The color escort is Warrant Officer Class 2, Blair Pascal. The Army color is carried by Captain Theophilus Osei. The color escorts are Staff Sergeant Okwesi Michael and Staff Sergeant Salifu Mubarak. The Naval Ensign is Sub-Lieutenant Joseph Mali Dindon, and his escorts are Chief Petty Officer Class 2 Eyuku Quest Edward and Petty Officer Class 2 Owuswan Sir Patrick. The Air Force color is carried by Flying Officer Mark Kwesi Boache, and the escorts are Warrant Officer Class 2 Aku Michael and Flight Sergeant Eiple Desmond. Distinguished guests, our two smartly dressed car orderlies are personnel from the Ghana Military Police. The car orderlies for this year's anniversary parade are Lance Corporal Yebua Rebecca and Lance Corporal Ajopo Esther. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the President will be escorted by the Police Mounted Squadron. The Police Mounted Squadron was formed in 1940 with 7 horses. They are commanded by Assistant Superintendent of Police, Mary Agamba. The core mandate of the unit was to provide ceremonial escorts for the governor. The horses are also used for patrol duties. Some of the names of the horses on parade this morning are Peace and Love, Sunshine, Lion Heart, Mighty Ocean, Step by Step, and last but not the least, Go Ahead. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, while we await the arrival of the President, the band will give us some tunes. Thank you. Thank you very much, the band. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, arriving on the square now is the President of the Republic of Ghana and Commander-in-Chief of the Ghana Armed Forces, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, and his spouse, Her Excellency Mrs. Lordina Mahama.
Rise! Rise! Huh!
I wish to respectfully request that we all rise as the President proceeds to the saluting days. The President is being escorted by the police mounted squadron.
Rise! Go! Yay!
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the President is being escorted by the police mounted squadron. The police mounted squadron was formed in 1940 with 7 horses. As the President proceeds to the saluting days, we remain standing for the national salute. This will be followed by the national pledge.
Rise! National salute! Resign! Arms!
Is Nation Building and National Development, written by Edward Ni Alote.
Ago! Ago! Wake ago! Ago wamanyela John Dramani Mahama. Kemanyela ifonkume. Niakwanine ache ame. Sheme. Kenyeme. Nime. Kename. Kemenina ebakteshi. Wami banya omane. Ghana tete. Ketete. Nyaha swe. Swevo ehiamanle. Mambi wuchi. Kemambi bibi. igbefen noya mi fo mankuromo mi bola ni mancha mi pisane negbe yeli ke boamo aje aba yeli ke boamo aje numo ke amra alodin manoya mankuromo ke mancha bayano Ghana wajakuma bango tamawo Ghana be mi bola papa ife mi kemo amanem penifo aya ton safra hall hena manem penifo adadao hena man penina otegwadu okuku dem Srem jata indera jatpanana ahuofe John Dramani Mahama Nina bete shipa pebi akukudufoba Oba Sampa Mami J Nana Opoku Ajiman Imbrashebe wafune ntembwafo Mbira bade awode wajina pisi de wovedinukwa wakweni na amwa abema omangana afane tampa efra damenti womayeni nara yeza ofata na ose Ghana ebite gakusu brege His Excellency John Dramani Mahama Bani Ebeshun ne kabini kole alo enambar kabini fuli kayurushine enchegepa Ghana benye kumulala ne kabini fuli ensoka plekama Gindu intenine ni esikama eji inkini Waje komemfa nyoni hemo Jukefo ajewa sase kra Ghana bahi bango bajabo kemi manyo atu egbena bo atu egbena no ba shedu nila ba pe han mlano yeli hiemi amo kenuchumo akechama Asante be from Ezibanu bubu meni java hentuku aho atupiti aho ni hen atinabia dambe basani nara ya di tisira inipa daseni biahia akwan bitede lorry keteke wimu na podo afe wonyamoni wonfo wonche ehiawo Wọ́n háwọ̀ máa he akọ́ǹsàbù afẹ́fàn. Wọ́n gbọ́ máa níbí ìhà. Wọ́n gbẹ́lẹ́nu túmọ̀ ẹ̀. Wọ́n bí aná ẹ̀kọ́ atú ní mí ṣe bàbá. Ghana aná ìṣọ̀lẹ̀. Ghana aná nọ̀yà. Ghana bákọ́ ìmàmá pápá n'ebu. Nyẹ́cha ní ọ̀manyẹ́ abúláwọ̀. Yàwó.
A round of applause for these learners. And the trainers for the poetic trio are Miss Felicity Efuachewa Bonya and Miss Ruby Dede Ama.
Good morning, Your Excellency. The 68th Independence Anniversary Parade formed up. 11 officers, 92 men and women drawn from the Ghana Armed Forces, the Ghana
Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the President will be accompanied by his ceremonial aide-de-camp, the Chief of the Defense Staff, General Thomas Opom Prepra, and the Inspector General of Police, Dr. George Ekufu Dampari. He will also be accompanied by the Forces Sergeant Major, Chief Warrant Officer Ado Daniel. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the President is now moving to the cenotaph to light the perpetual flame. I wish to remind you once again that lighting of the flame is a symbol of the spirit of independence. The cenotaph guards are commanded by Warrant Officer Class 2, Efriye Entry Daniel. The Ghana Army Guards are Staff Sergeant Ofori Kani Patrick and Sergeant Akaide Samuel. The Ghana Navy Guard is Petty Officer Class 2, Webolo Gabriel. And the Ghana Air Force Guard is Sergeant Trupi Samson Kwame. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the inspection is over The parade commander will now ask permission to continue with the parade. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it's now time for the band to display. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the Edikra symbol formed by the band in slow time is Ufru Driapa. The phrase, when you climb a good tree, you are given a push. Ufru Driapa, which is a symbol of encouragement, support, and cooperation, means that when individuals support worthy cause, they will receive support in return, bringing their attention to the significance of working together and providing assistance to one another. The mass band will change from slow to quick time. Counter march, wheel to the center line. Counter march and perform series of evolutions to form the Jinihini Edikra symbol. Jinihini literally meaning ram's horns, symbolizes that even the strong have to also be humble. The symbol is a bird's eye view of two rams, button heads, and the ram's horn symbolizes strength and humility through the characteristics of a ram. The band is currently in a formation called currently in a formation called Nyamidua Ejikra symbol. The Nyamidua symbol is an Ejikra symbol that represents God's presence and protection. It is a cross-section of a tree, often a palm tree, or the top of a tree stump. It symbolizes the tree of life, purification or blessings. The symbol represents ceremonial trees that are often cut where 3 or more branches come together. Nyamidua translates to tree of God and represents God's presence and guardianship. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, what you are witnessing is a two-file formation forming a base camp. Shall we please give them a round of applause? Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, they are dissolving the base camp with crisscrossing each other to form the number 68, which represents the 68th independence anniversary of Ghana. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, the band have formed the number 68 in static position. Shall we please give them a round of applause?
Hello, hello, hello.
Distinguished guests, shall we please give them a round of applause? Taken by the telly. I hope you are aware. Okay, now. Distinguished guests, the band just performed the tune, Junior Mayuhu. That was a splendid performance by the band. Shall we please give them a round of applause?
Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we shall now receive some poetry recital, and that will be done by learners from Services Primary and JHS Bema Camp. The recitals are Na Ayoko Nyomoha, Mame Abba Jechua Amufa Apia, and Fade Out Baba Al.
Your Excellency, the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, Professor Jane Nana Opoku-Agyeman, the Right Honorable Speaker of Parliament, Your Ladyship, the Chief Justice, Your Excellency, Chairman of the Council of States and members of the Council of States, Your Excellency, President John Agyekum Kufuor, former President of the Republic of Ghana, Your Excellency, President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, former President of the Republic of Ghana, and our special guest, Your Excellency, President Jakaya Kikwete, former President of the United Republic of Tanzania, Ministers of State, Honorable Members of Parliament, Nime, Name, our traditional rulers, religious leaders, our service chiefs, our troops, school children, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, friends of the media, and good people of Ghana. I wish you all a happy independence anniversary. 10 years ago, during the 58th independence anniversary, we implemented reforms to the annual Independence Day parade. This reform eased the burden of thousands of school children who marched, sparing them from hours of standing in the scorching sun. They formed up on the parade ground only when it was time for their march past and presidential acknowledgement. A few years ago, the previous administration also implemented reforms, deciding to rotate the hosting of Independence Day celebrations among the regions of our country. This initiative was intended to bring the celebration closer to all our people. Unfortunately, this year we are constrained not only to interrupt the celebrations rotation amongst the regions, but also to hold it on a scaled-down version here at the forecourt of the presidency instead of the traditional Black Star Square. This is necessary considering the economic crisis our nation is currently experiencing. Large-scale celebrations often come with significant logistical, security, and infrastructure costs, which strain the national budget. By reducing the scale of the event, we wish to demonstrate a commitment to fiscal responsibility and the efficient use of our limited resources. Fiscal prudence has become imperative for navigating the severe economic crisis that has recently confronted our country. The state spent 15 million Ghana cedis on last year's celebration in Koforidua and spent 13.7 million cedis on the previous year's celebration in Ho in the Volta region. This year, we received estimates of at least 20 million Ghana cedis for holding the event at the Independence Square on the same scale as the previous years. In a year when we are calling on all to sacrifice, including workers who have graciously accepted a base pay adjustment far below the rate of inflation, it is unconscionable to spend that kind of money on a few hours of celebration. Today's event would save us 95% of the estimated cost of the event. Nonetheless, this scaled-down celebration does not diminish the importance and significance of this occasion in any way. Ghana's independence is the single most important event in our history, as it sets out us on the path of nationhood. It is even more significant because it lit the flame of independence in sub-Saharan Africa by inspiring other countries yoked to colonial exploitation to seek independence and self-determination. This day must therefore always be commemorated, but when reality calls for a different approach, we must heed it and act accordingly. Moreover, hosting the celebration here at the presidency preserves the symbolic essence of Independence Day while demystifying the seat of government. Fellow compatriots, Independence Day celebrations serve as an opportunity for us to remember our nation's struggle for freedom and to honor the sacrifices of our forebears who led that struggle for self-rule. It reinforces our national identity, our unity and patriotism, while offering a moment for reflection on our progress and the challenges ahead. It presents an opportunity for us to recount our history, picking the lessons it teaches, and thereby forging a new path for progress and development. Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, the founder of our nation, envisioned an industrialized, self-reliant Ghana, whose citizens have the highest standard of economic life and the greatest sense of self-esteem rooted in patriotism and Pan-African unity. But on February 24, 1966, a joint military and police coup d'etat shattered that dream, plunging Ghana into decades of instability and military takeovers. The verdict of history is now loud and clear. Declassified documents from the United States archives reveal that this was a coup inspired and engineered by the CIA. It's the most regrettable and darkest moment in our nation's history. That moment sparked a series of historical events that have set us back and significantly delayed our attainment of the objectives of nationhood. We have had moments of triumph and moments of anguish. We have now blossomed into a fully fledged democracy with a healthy culture of peaceful power transfers. We must, however, remind ourselves that democratic participation transcends just the act of voting. It is fundamentally about accountability and the security needed to demand it. It is about safeguarding the people's freedoms and rights and fulfilling the promises of socio-economic prosperity enshrined in our founding document. Our history is complex, marked by struggle, resilience, and renewal. But through it all, one truth stands firm. The unbreakable will of the Ghanaian people has ensured that no matter the twists and turns, our democratic spirit endures and our destiny remains in our own hands. While we reflect on our journey, we must also review our standing today. We must assess our economic outlook, education and human resource development, natural resource management, national security, and our governance arrangements. It is essential for us to conduct a thorough review of our healthcare system, agriculture and food security, infrastructure and urban development, and the role of science, technology, and innovation. In this era of green transition, we must recognize our unique circumstance, that is a nation rich in natural resources, yet vulnerable to climate change, and we must chart a path that balances sustainability with economic growth. 18 years ago, as we marked our Golden Jubilee, 50 years of independence, we celebrated offshore gas and oil and gas discovery. It was a moment of great optimism, promising a new era of economic transformation and attracting significant investments into Ghana's petroleum sector. However, in recent years, poor choices have stunted our prospects and left us reeling from serious challenges. This stark reality, far from dampening our spirits, must spur us on to strive for rapid development. For if our forebears, armed with far less, did not permit their backs to be broken by a repressive and exploitative colonial administration representing an imperial power, how can we, their progenies, armed with far more, despair in the face of these challenges? Rather than perpetually decrying our failures, every anniversary of our independence must present an opportunity for us to account for the legacy we are building for our next generation. We of this generation are merely custodians of this country and resources. They are entrusted to us to manage them wisely today for the generation of tomorrow. These independence anniversaries must therefore be a moment of reflection, not on what we have done for ourselves, but on how well we have stewarded national assets for those we will hand them over to in the future. Our story cannot be one of missed opportunities. It must be one of continued effort to achieve far more than we can boast of now. Posterity will not accept our failures or take them kindly. As President, I am committed to providing the bold leadership and the clarity of vision that is needed to navigate the turbulent economic waters we are sailing in currently, while safeguarding our future. Discussions about our independence often highlight our reliance on imports, on donor aid, and IMF bailouts as signs of continued dependence. This reminder is repeated so often that while undeniably real, it risks becoming a cliché. Yet the entire efficacy of this reminder lies not in just repeating it, but in our willingness to take decisive action. Actions that will break the chain of dependency, not just the empty rhetoric of an Africa that is beyond aid. Proclaiming self-reliance while marching straight back to the donors, into the hands of the donor agencies, begging bowl in hand, is really meaningless. To break this cycle of dependence and reset our economy, my administration is formulating policies based on fiscal discipline and living within our means. We are striving to expand our economy to yield prosperity for all. And to do this, we must look within and make sure that we are raising revenue domestically. This administration is working to implement the 24-hour economy program to ensure that our economy never goes to sleep. This will allow us to create the necessary job expansion, boost productivity, increase our exports capacity and trade footprint, and also reduce our dependence on foreign aid. The US $10 billion Big Push initiative will also modernize our infrastructure. It will create jobs. It will stimulate local industry, ensuring that our development is driven from within rather than funded from outside. Agriculture remains our biggest opportunity to reduce import dependence. With over $2 billion spent annually on food imports, the Agriculture for Economic Transformation agenda is structured to strengthen local agribusiness and ensure food security. The Feed Ghana program will drive mass food production and stabilize food prices. At the same time, the Poultry Farm to Table initiative, otherwise referred to as Nkukong Kitenkite program, will boost domestic poultry production and processing to directly address our 95% reliance on imported poultry products. The success of these policies depend on active citizen participation, particularly from our young people. The AgriNext program will equip 30,000 young people with land, training, and agribusiness opportunities. Farmer service centers in every district will provide access to mechanization services, quality seeds and fertilizer to boost local food production. My brothers and sisters, this is a defining moment, but policies alone, no matter how well couched and no matter how well intentioned, will not change our reality. Action will change that reality. As President, I'm taking the necessary action to create growth opportunities and enhance our economic independence. Young Ghanaians must step up to the plate, seize these opportunities, and contribute to building a self-sufficient nation. Ghana's future is in your hands. Fellow Ghanaians, the 1992 Constitution has provided a stable framework for governance and delivered the most extended period of constitutional democracy in our nation's history. However, like any enduring legal and political framework, it has flaws and loopholes. Recognizing the need for refinement, the late President John Evans Atta Mills initiated a constitutional review process in 2010, leading to the establishment of the Constitutional Review Commission. The previous administration of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo also undertook some constitutional review. Considering evolving national and global dynamics, I have constituted a new review committee to undertake a comprehensive and inclusive reassessment of our Constitution. This endeavor is essential as the strength of our democracy, the integrity of our constitutional order, and the rule of law requires continuous renewal. We must not allow weaknesses in our governance framework to fester until they threaten national stability. Instead, we must take proactive steps to reinforce the very foundation of our democracy. I therefore urge all Ghanaians to participate in this process by submitting their recommendations and memoranda to the committee. This is an opportunity to ensure that our constitutional framework truly reflects the collective aspirations of the Ghanaian people and serves as a robust instrument for national progress. My brothers and sisters, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah understood the essence of unity, not only in Ghana but on the entire African continent, when he said, and I quote, "The forces that unite us are inherently and far greater than the divisions imposed upon us." In the spirit of unity and brotherhood that this independence represents, I wish to speak directly to you, my brothers and sisters, in Boko and everywhere in our land where conflict is raging. I do not speak as president, but as your son and brother, in whose hands you have entrusted a solemn duty. The people of Boko and other areas, it is time for lasting peace to prevail. Our children deserve to inherit a peaceful land where their dreams are nurtured, not where their nightmares are relived. They deserve to inherit a land where our markets are bustling with trade, not tension and conflict. They deserve to inherit schools that echo with learning and not melancholy. Let us not be swayed by division, mistrust, and the weight of past injuries. Let us give renewal of friendship a chance. Let us give peace a chance. This is not an invitation to simply forget the past. Far from it. It is an invitation to live above it. Fellow countrymen and women, 2 years from now, our dear nation Ghana will celebrate its 70th anniversary of independence. This is our moment in history. We have endured trials, we faced challenges, and carried the burden of our struggles, but we have never given up. Through every storm and shadow, we have kept the flame of hope alive. And now, at this critical juncture, we must rise with courage, determination, and unwavering belief that a brighter future is just within our grasp. Let us reflect on the great movements that have transformed the world, the movements that have liberated us from the bonds of colonialism, and the voices that shaped our path to democratic rule. Before these, people thought it was impossible. It is not impossible for us to create a better life for our people. It was ordinary people, workers, dreamers, farmers, students, the young and the old, who refused to accept the way things were. They marched, they spoke out, they struggled, and eventually they prevailed. From African liberation movements to the fight for civil rights, from the pursuit of democracy to the battle against poverty and inequality, one lesson stands clear. When people unite with a common purpose, nothing can stand in their way. As I said before Parliament, we shall live the dreams of our forebears in our lifetime. This is not just a promise, it is a call to action. Let this be our mission to rise above fear, to silence the voices of doubt, and to harness the strength within us to create a future that is fair, that is prosperous, and that is inclusive. Let us move forward together side by side, knowing that every sacrifice we make today will prepare the way for generations yet to come. I thank you very much, my fellow countrymen and women, and I wish you all a happy Independence Day.
Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, that was the 68th Independence Anniversary Address by